Can you hear
let's
me
talk
now?
about our guest today. Our guest is somebody who you will love, and you'll fall in love with her, and I'll tell you why. I met her several years ago in person. We are all part of a CEO space, another organization which we really like. Dr. Emily Letran, when she was giving her presentation, one thing she said, which really made impact on me right away, that she came as a child from Vietnam. And with literally nothing she had a very keen desire to really excel and become somebody of importance here. So she really worked hard, became a dentist. That's not where she stopped. She has multiple locations of dentistry in California area. But what has become her passion is to share her story, her wisdom about being an entrepreneur. And she shares that with stages all over the world. She's very well known in the world as a very sought after speaker. I consider her to be my friend and a close friend, because she came from Vietnam, and Vietnam has a very special spot in my heart because our daughter was born in Vietnam, and we brought her to join our family when she was 2 years old. So Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, everything. Then the people of Vietnam are so, so precious. They are always resilient. They're always thinking about how they can change and do their best. So without further ado, it'll be my honor and pleasure to have Emily join us and share her story with us. Emily, Dr. Emily, actually.
Well, thank you so much for that super nice introductions, Ginny. I'm really honored and privileged to be here. It's, whenever we have a gathering, whether it's live or virtual, I always appreciate the people who set up the platform and invite me on to share strategies, and also the people who take the time to come on, right? Because in this day and age, everyone is busy, as we all know. Everybody have tons of things to do, and I always advise people, if it's important enough to you, you set the time so you can show up for yourself. And I think that's very important. So I just want everybody to just pat themselves in the back or give yourself a round of applause, right? Because you show up for yourself. And thank you to Judy and Ginny, for inviting me on here. CEO Space has a very, very special place in my heart. The very first time I brought my kids there, we discovered that my son was feeling so comfortable there. He felt so open. He actually shared that he was contemplating suicide because he was going through bullying at school. So CEO Space and the community of entrepreneurs always have a special place in my heart. So I just want to just share real quick. I know you mentioned where I came from. I was actually born in the late 60s. So that was during the Vietnam War. And so growing up, I have my mom, my dad, my older brother, and 2 younger siblings. And we live in an extended family. We have 3 stories, and each family took a story, right? In the house, we all live together. And in 1975, that's when the Vietnam War ended. The Americans left. So that began a series of dark days where we would stand in line to buy whatever the government was willing to sell to us. Moldy noodles, old rice, stale bread, any of those things, because everything was rationed by family. And as a little kid, I used to stand in one of those lines to get food for the family. And a couple of years after the communists took over, Vietnam was going to go to war again with China in the north and Cambodia in the west. And at this time, you have a whole exodus of Vietnamese people leaving the country to escape, another pending war, and also really to get out of the communist regime. And so I escaped the country with my aunt and my older brother. And we live in a refugee camp. We crossed the ocean on a little fishing boat for 7 days. and then we lived in a refugee camp for several months. It's in Malaysia, and finally came to the US. So when I came to the US, I would tell people my luggage coming here were just hope and faith. And I was lucky I was young enough where I wasn't worried, right? Because when you're young, you don't really worry because you don't know enough. Uh, but I was old enough to know that this is a big change, right? This wasn't some trip that we were told, okay, just leave and dad will catch up because my mom had passed away. And by the time I got left the refugee camp, came to the US, I realized that, I don't know when dad is coming, but this is such a big changed life. And now I got to learn how to live in this new country. So there was the language barrier, there was the financial barrier. There were a lot of things that any of the refugee who came to a new country would experience. And that's why right now with what's going on in Ukraine, just the symbol of the UNHCR, which is the organization that helped refugees, just seeing that symbol could bring tears for me, because I identify with that particular symbol. And so as I grew up in this country, I went to undergrad, finished undergrad in 3 years. I was in a rush to try to come out and make money to support the family. I finished 3 years magna cum laude at UC Riverside, and then I went to UCLA for dental school and also get a master at the same time. And when I came out, I bought my first dental practice, second dental practice, third dental practice, got very busy raising family, run the practices. And I learned very early that, management and being a leader is very important to grow a business. Because as you know, unless you're very clear in what you want in your business, you can't lead people. And the job of a leader is to create more leaders, not to, build up all these teams, but really to create more leaders so you can multiply that way. So I just want to share a couple of strategies on leadership. I'll call that 5. Okay. So the first one is obviously having clarity, knowing exactly what you want, knowing your core values. And I think that is so hard sometimes when people grow. A lot of us we could be solopreneurs, or maybe we running a company, and maybe you're trying to work with somebody else, like a joint venture, right? Or you bring in a consultant and they don't have the same core values. It's going to be very hard to grow because you're not in alignment. Or sometimes somebody asks you to do something and it's not in alignment with your values, then if you say yes, you're going to be stressed out, right? And if you say no, sometimes you're stressed out too, because you go, well, maybe I should take that opportunity. But it's very important to be in alignment with core values and knowing what you want and what's most important to you. I remember when my kids were younger, so I did this for 18 years. I would work from 9 to 2 and then take off 2 hours to go pick up my kids from school. And I would come back at 4 o'clock and work another 2 hours. And then I would leave and go finally pick up my kids. And I remember there were patients coming in complaining that, why is this doctor late, right? At 4 o'clock, because maybe I'm hitting traffic coming back. And at the beginning, I was, okay, I should not be late. But after that, it was, wait, my kids are important. I actually take the time out to go pick them up. And if I come back and I hit traffic, I don't really care if you complain, right? I'm going to tell you what that reason is, but my kids were important, right? My kids are more important than getting back right on time at, 3:59 or whatever, to see the patient at 4 o'clock. And when you're clear with that, criticism doesn't bother you because you know that you're living in alignment with your values. So having clarity is important. Having energy is important. I don't know how many of us drink coffee all day long, right? Or we say we need that nap, power nap? People call it, I need the power nap. I need that Starbucks. One of my coach, Brendan Bouchard, said, when you go get the Starbucks, it's the walk to the Starbucks that wake you up. It's not the Starbucks. So think about how you carry on with your energy every day. Did you get enough sleep every night so you can rest yourself? Do you exercise, right? Take a minute, 2 minutes, do some stretch exercise, right? Like move your body around, especially if you're sitting in front of the computer all day long. It move your blood around. It help renew your energy. Some people meditate. If you're looking at the computer all the time, just close your eyes. Even if you're sitting in front of the computer, but you just close your eyes and you let your eyes rest and you're not staring at that screen. Productivity, prioritizing what's most important to you. And this is an exercise that I ask my fellow entrepreneurs to do. I want you to write down everything that you do on a regular day, right? So maybe you say, you know, I wake up and I check my email and I check Facebook or LinkedIn and I go to work and, you know, like let's say for me, I see patients and whatever it is that you do during the day, right? Then I want you to put a check mark next to the activity that actually create income. So if you're answering email to a friend, or you're answering email to a sales company, whatever it is, does that create income for you? I'm talking about directly creating income. So as a dentist, the only thing that directly create income for me is actually my hands is in somebody's mouth, right? So for that part, if I'm doing coaching, the thing that create income is doing a consultation, right? Or maybe speaking like this, like so that way I can get myself out there, I can invite people on for a consultation, that kind of thing, right? But anything else besides that, it's not going to bring in the income. So be very conscious about results. Whatever you're doing, does it bring in the results that you're seeking? Because that result going to take you to whatever your goal is, which is, you know, what's my next income level? I want to have more clients. I want to have more customers. I want to beat last quarter sales, that kind of thing. Put a check mark on those activities that actually create income. And then I want you to circle the activities that you're the only person that could do. Because once you look at that list, sometimes you may say, oh, I got 20 things written down. I'm so busy in a day, right? And then there are only 5 of those that create income. So maybe we should only focus on the 5, right? We don't care about the other 15. Or we delegate the other 15. Now of the 5, if you circle 2, that means that you can delegate the other 3, right? Because those 2, like, you're the only one that could do this. So when I did this many, many years ago, so back in 1997, I bought my first dental practice. And then 2 years after that, I realized that I need somebody to replace me because, you know, one of those things happened, got pregnant, right? So got 2 kids going on. Back then, I was already replacing myself, right? So when I do this exercise, I don't need to circle anything as far as my dentistry is concerned, because I got associate in the office, I got specialists in the office replacing me. Now I need to oversee the whole thing. I need to do the marketing. But as far as doing the dentistry itself, no, I don't need to do that. So right now, for example, in my coaching program, I collaborate with other people where they can do the weekly coaching and maybe I don't have to do it, right? So think of it that way, because if you want to be more productive, you basically need to multiply yourself and you need to focus on those activities that actually create income. Courage is a big part of being a leader. Can you go back to your team and fire somebody? Can you tell a high-end customer, just go somewhere else, right? Because maybe they're a pain in the butt. These things take courage. And if you don't do it and it's difficult and you try to live with it, you're going to be stressed out. This is where people complain, you know, I'm stressed out and I'm burnt out and I'm this, I'm that. And a lot of times these are the things that you need to work on. And last but not least is influence. How do you create influence? Like, I'm very thankful to Ginny for, you know, introducing me, because even the way somebody introduced you, it already create influence. It create trust, right? If I come on to the talk and say, you know, I'm Dr. Emily Letran, I'm an executive coach, and, you know, I've been featured in Forbes, Yahoo Finance, the Dental Town, which is the biggest platform for dentists, USA Today, all of those things immediately create trust. And that is because I know what to put out there so people can see that I have influence. And all of that has to do with strategy and marketing, and obviously doing the work so you could be featured in those platforms. So I hope that helps. Those are some of my tips on being a great leader. And the more you can help your team or people who work with you have those same things working for them, the faster you're going to grow. And I'm sure the more successful you will be. Thank you so much, Ginny. I think that was my time.
Oh, wow. Dr. Emily, awesome, awesome.
Thank you.
We can already see action to win and exceptional leverage coaching, right? Appropriate words for Dr. Emily. And if we can show our love to Dr. Emily, please, with your hands, put it in your chat. We are honored. I think she's an exceptional person. And that's the reason she's an exceptional coach and she's an exceptional entrepreneur, because she really knows how to delegate. She really knows, she has the courage to create a team around her. She knew it early on how to really have a balance in her life, to have a family life, and yet her dental practice going. So we are honored, Dr. Emily, for you sharing your wisdom with our community today. Judy, would